What is up, everyone? Happy freedom. Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Hooligans. I appreciate you guys being here. Hit that thumbs up button. More likes, more hooligans. I'll read through the schedule really quick. I'll make sure everything's running smoothly and get her started. 1:45, which is in 2 minutes. KJP is going to be damning us with her presence. I'll get this pulled up just so we can see when she comes staggering out on stage. Her and all her entitlement. Yes. Breathing gas right now. I had a little Diablo motivation right before I got started, and now my face is running. So we'll be starting off with a video titled Senator Cruz accuses FBI of covering up for the Bidens. There's a lot of comparison there. Old man Walter being accused of bad things. Just another day. Just another day. Probably do nothing about it. Just put out a lot of publicity. We're going to cover a video that First Responder Media did showing 114 people crossing the border illegally night before last. He kind of interviews them. I guess they've come from 17 different countries. We got a little bit of everyone here crossing the border. Then we have a video titled Chaos Erupts After Protester Rushes Trump Motorcade. We were covering that live yesterday, but this is a decent view of what happened. We seen him get I think we seen him get arrested. It might have been right before I launched the live. But people are going wild, as always, for the Orange Eagle. Then we will be covering a video titled GOP Lawmaker Introduces Articles of Impeachment for Old Man Walter and Hyena Harris. It's a nice thought. It's a nice thought. I doubt it'll go through. I wish it would, but you know how things roll. Things roll downhill around here. Then we'll be wrapping things up on the YouTube side of things. Outlet melts down over Trump's Miami restaurant visit. They were all mad. They were all mad. They want to see Trump cry. He wasn't crying. He was out there waving to all his supporters, hanging out with all of us real Americans, smiling, having a good time. People were praying over him and stuff. News acres, they couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it. Then we'll be covering things on the alternative platforms titled This Happened on Old Man Walter's Watch, talking about people being indecent at the White House over their pride celebration and whatnot. They talked about it a little bit during the briefing yesterday, I think it was. She didn't want to talk about it. She didn't want to talk about it. She said it was bad and those people aren't allowed back. But during the event, they were like all about it. They were all about it. They were like, yeah, pull your man-made tits out. Go do a cartwheel. I don't know. That's what they said. You like that? So that's what's on the schedule today. Are you co-hosting today, Klaus Daniels? Okay. All right. Klaus will be co-hosting today. Tis what it tis. All right. Let's read through the chat. Make sure everything's running. What's up, Manuel? What's up, Norman? What's up, Sassy? What's up, WMM? What's up, Sheep? What's up, Debacles? Happy Freedom. What's up, Truth? Klaus Daniels. He's going to be rioting today, is he? Yeah. You'll lay your booty down. All right. Anyways. What's up, MD Cyron? What's up, Rain? Happy Freedom. What's up, Drunken Spider? What's up, Kristen? What's up, Justin? Appreciate you being here. Manuel, I don't know if we'll see trolls today. We might. We might, after what happened yesterday, covering so much Trump. It does bring out the trolls. What's up, B? What's up, Mountain Life? What's up, Robert? What's up, HG? What's up, Daryl? Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much, Viking Vet, for gifting 10 memberships over on YouTube. I appreciate you. Thank you, Viking Vet. You're awesome. Oh, Klaus Daniels. Are you going to do that the whole show? What's up, everyone, on the Jeff Mac Live secret YouTube channel? Appreciate you being here. What's up, Paul? What's up, Chris? Happy Freedom. Oh, weird. They got the little bubbles on the website now, or on the version. Why can I click emojis on my own live? I'm just patting myself on the back here, sitting here launching emojis in my chat. That's a good way to fake it. Then everybody thinks like everyone's happy to be here. I'm just sitting here clicking it. That cracks myself up. YouTube. Goofy YouTube. What's up, everyone on Twitch? Happy Freedom. What's up, 2 Ruby Shoes? What's up, Snooks? What's up, Mr. Beansy Beans? Appreciate the bits. Mr. Beansy Beans. Pre-goat scream. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. Appreciate you guys being here. What's up, everyone over on Kick? getting close to monetization over on Kick. Looking forward to it, although not that many people watch. It's just more about achieving goals. It's good to have goals, and it's even better to achieve them. Does good for recharging the batteries. What's up, everyone over on Odyssey? What's up, Donna Sparks? Happy Freedom. Appreciate you being here. And what's up, everyone on Rumble? How is Rumble running today? We were having problems yesterday trying to show the Orange Eagle give his speech after the indictment case stuff, whatever he had to show up to yesterday. Hopefully it's running smooth. What's up, Joe? What's up, Rasta? What's up, Breezy? What's up, Patty? What's up, Cheeseburger O? Happy Freedom. What's up, Pumpkin? What's up, Rasta? Appreciate all of you hooligans being here. What's up, Cassandra? Happy Freedom. What's up, everyone over on jeffmaclive.com. All right, hooligans, we're going to get this started. KJP is not on stage. She is 4 minutes late, but that's okay. Go ahead and get this video out the way. It's not too long. It's titled Stonewalling. Senator Cruz accuses FBI of covering up for the Bidens.
Senator Ted Cruz confronting the FBI's deputy director over the Bureau's handling of President Biden's alleged $5 million bribery scheme.
Deputy Director Abadi, is it true that the FBI has a report making those allegations?
I'm not going to comment on that, Senator.
And why is that?
I'm just not going to comment on information we received, investigations.
Do you owe an obligation to the American people to be candid about evidence of corruption by the President of the United States?
He's on fire!
This is an area that I'm not going to get into with you, Senator.
Well, I understand you don't want to, and that's why people are mad at the FBI, because you're stonewalling and covering up serious allegations of evidence of corruption.
Brooke Singman has more on this. Brooke.
Hey, good morning, guys. That's right. FBI Deputy Director Paul Abate facing intense scrutiny from Cruz about the Burisma executive who claims he gave President Biden $5 million. An FBI report says that executive has 2 audio recordings of conversations he had with then Vice President Joe Biden and 15 with his son, Hunter. Now, House Majority Leader Steve Scalise has promised to make those recordings public, telling the Daily Mail, quote, "We're going to press to get everything we can out. We're going to keep digging." Now, President Biden was once again asked about the allegations yesterday. He did not respond, instead appearing to smile when walking away from the New York Post reporter who asked this. Watch.
Are there tapes that you accepted bribes, President Biden? Is that true?
The House Oversight Committee subpoenaed that FD 1023 document from the FBI, which details those bribery allegations against President Biden. Now, the FBI did not technically comply with that subpoena, but the Bureau has brought it to Capitol Hill for lawmakers to review in a secure setting.
You know, when I heard Ted Cruz's comments there, line of questioning, it really came back to one basic question for me. Does the FBI work for the American people, or does the FBI work for the Biden family? And basically what we're seeing right now leads me to believe it's the latter, and that's not the way it's supposed to be.
It definitely isn't. I mean, the FBI did an interview with this confidential human source back in June of 2020. A confidential human source did this interview, that's that FD 1023 form, explaining his conversations with a top executive of Ukrainian natural gas firm Burisma Holdings. Now, that Burisma executive made claims that he paid then Vice President Biden $5 million to Hunter. I mean, you know, the FBI has had these allegations in their possession for 3 years at this point, Todd. So what Senator Chuck Grassley is looking for, and House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer is looking for, is this document to provide transparency to the American people. But also, they want to know what the FBI has been doing, if anything, with these allegations. Did they ever look into them? Did they investigate them? We don't know. That's what these lawmakers are trying to get to the bottom of.
Yeah, the president goes out there and says this is malarkey, and the mainstream media is like, okay, well, we don't need to cover it now. That's
right.
Another sad part of this story, the FBI and the mainstream media not working for the American people. Brooke, thank you very much.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
Just another day of old man Walter doing bad things, getting away with it. They didn't play a very good video of him smiling. I seen one earlier, but it didn't have any context with it. He knows he'll get away with it. He knows they're not going to hold him accountable. Look at the FBI over there stalling. I hate seeing those interactions because they're always like, what about this? Is this true or is this not true? And the answer is always a whole big old speech. It's never a yes or no answer. Hate that. And at the Fascist Bureau of Intimidation, it's true. It's true. They don't do anything good for us. When was the last time you seen the FBI do something and you were like, yeah, good job? It's like all they do is come after random Americans or go after Orange Eagle. It seems like that's their whole job. What's up, Anthony? Happy freedom. Daryl, confidential AI source. Most likely. HG, thinking about ice cream while he smiles. Yep. Matthew, just prepping for supper. What are you making for supper? What are we eating tonight? Yeah, I appreciate you, Raja. Yukon, poor Walter. He doesn't even know what's going on. He can't even remember the crimes he's committed. Pull up this press briefing. I imagine she'll be out at any moment. Mike, good for Cruz, yeah. I don't know, Cruz says a lot of good stuff, but I don't see him doing a whole lot. He did go to the border and expose a lot of stuff at the border, but like when they were doing the Freedom Convoy, he went and spoke to everybody and then didn't do anything. He just went out there for publicity. What's up, Ohio Kyle? Happy freedom. What's up, Crystal Blue? Appreciate you being here. What's up, Hammerhead Fred? Happy freedom. Today's Flag Day? Isn't today's Trump's birthday also? Tomorrow's Flag Day. Wait a minute, what day is it? No, today is Flag Day. My Google calendar's wrong. It is Flag Day. Well, thanks for letting me know, Hammerhead Fred. Keep me up to date. Bo, when he smiles, he fills his depends. I believe it. What's up, Mr. Average? Happy freedom. Hey, I appreciate you being here, Bailey. What's up, Flowers? Well, we might have enough time to do another video before KJP comes stumbling out. I want to see her rage quit. She's been getting mad the last couple days. What's up, Sam? Happy freedom. What's up, Tam Tam? You be safe out there. Well, let's see. Oh, we could probably skim through this before KJP comes out on stage, I imagine. All right. So this is first responder media covering over at the border. This isn't live right now. It was live a few hours ago.
Country? Ghana.
19 hours ago.
Country?
So right now he's asking them where they're coming from. And the title says that they total out about 17 different countries. So we're getting a little bit of everybody coming across.
China? ¿Qué país? Baby?
People bringing their kids. I can't imagine bringing kids on that journey. Like, I don't know. I don't know what they're escaping, but that seems like putting your kid in a lot of danger. Especially coming here with undocumented. What happens if they take your kid? What happens if you go sleep somewhere on the sidewalk or some facility, they put you wake up, your kid's gone? What are you going to do? You're not even supposed to be here. It's not like you can go ask for help.
Texas?
This is them all lined up. He's going down the line asking them where they're going. Some of them are saying Chicago, some are saying Minnesota, some are saying Los Angeles. So they already know where they're going. I'm not sure what this is. Some sort of, maybe it's instructions.
Chicago.
And I'm sure the cartel is still sending them here, muling in stuff. And they're getting on their Greyhound, getting on their bus, going to get dropped off. You won't see him again until it's time to vote blue team. It's messed up. Let's see. What do you hooligans think? What's up, John? Happy freedom. Ghost, their kid. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's I don't think it's good to have kids involved in all that stuff. It's no good. They talk about all the time about all the terrible things that happen to women and children while they're on that journey to try and come across the border. I don't know. I wouldn't want to put, I wouldn't want to put my kid through it. There's no way. Nomad, 90% are military-aged men. Yep. Just like they brought back from Afghanistan. When they came back from Afghanistan and they were flying all those people that were locals at Afghanistan, they were all the same age. They were all male. We brought them here, but we couldn't get all the Americans out. Doesn't make any sense. John Costello's an address and email to a hotel, name and phone number. Probably cartel gave it to him. Shrapnel, I think we all need fried chicken and waffles right now. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're right on the mark there. You're over the target. Miss Jamie, I think if you don't come here legally, then stay out. Yep. Yeah, come here the way you're supposed to, or don't come here. And everybody, like, the government lets it slide, and then they make it so we have to let it slide. We have to just let it happen to us. Makes no sense. What's up, F-Body Bill? Happy freedom. We're just waiting for KJP to get on stage. I want to say I'm surprised she's taking so long, but not really. It's 15 minutes late. I'm going to check the White House schedule just to make sure they didn't change the time. They changed the time yesterday. No. It's still same time. Daryl, they bring kids in case they get hungry. That's old man Walter. That's old man Walter. Bailey, crime, violence, and corruption. Yeah. That sounds terrible, Ghost. Sheep, she's getting all pretty for you, Jeff. No, she ain't. No, she ain't. If KJP ever heard the things I've said about her, she'd have me Clinton in the middle of the night. What is that? Is that on the live or is that outside? Can you hear this? I don't know if they're screaming Fabian or what they're saying. I'm about to have my own live here. Thank you so much, Sky Queen, for upgrading your membership to Dedicated Hooligan. I really appreciate you. Thank you. You're awesome. Crystal Blue, no more bananas for our republic. Yeah, for real. Viking Vet, I didn't want to say it. But you're probably right. Old man Walter is a terrible old ghoul. Chad, Dookie Braids is coming on in a minute. I don't think she has Dookie Braids. They're just curls now. They were kind of dreaded up. Debacles Klaus said Fabian. I don't know what it is. Kristen sounds like a mother. Yeah. Okay, so you guys can hear it. I don't know what they're doing. Probably smoking meth and rolling around in the yard, I guess. I don't mingle with the locals. I just stay in my little spot and leave everyone alone. I don't like people in my business. People out there yelling. Awaken one, chicken and waffle sounds good. It does sound good. If I can bet it, a legit cat call is what it sounded like. They're hollering at me. They're out there like, hooligans. Yelling and stuff, trying to... It's bait. It's actually a skinwalker. Old man Walter sent it out here calling for help just to see if I'd accommodate. Next thing you know, I wake up in the Hillary Clinton's basement, naked. Klaus Daniels too, he's in chains, in naked. Just, I don't know. It's no good. It's no good. Thank you so much, Snooks, for gifting 10 memberships over on YouTube. I appreciate everything you do, Snooks. Thank you. Well, KJP is really taking her time here. We might just have to move on to the next video. Well, the next one's short. We'll just go ahead and do that. And it's a good one. So this is titled Chaos Erupts. after protester rushes Trump motorcade. So we covered this live yesterday, but we didn't have this camera angle.
Look at that.
We were down the street further. See, I don't think that guy should have even been able to make it in front of the motorcade.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. People are chasing the car. Secret Service is running.
Looks like some World War Z stuff. And this idiot getting arrested.
Oh, back up! Yep, he's in handcuffs. The guy that rushed the motorcade is in handcuffs.
Look at the InfoWars flag. That's awesome. I had no say yesterday. Yes. It was a good time yesterday, showing all that stuff. Ghost, they let it happen. Yeah, it seemed that way, didn't it? I don't think that guy should have been able to make it in front of the vehicle. If he had something else in his hands besides the sign, it could have been a terrible situation. HG runs in front of a moving car. Not too smart. Yeah, but if they would have ran him over, he could have tried to sue him or something for liability. You know, like an insurance scam kind of situation. Be like, oh, the Orange Eagle ran me over. Radical, extreme, right-wing, white supreme pizza came out and ran me over out in Miami or wherever it was. He'd be out there crying, trying to sue President Trump. Miss Jamie, he'll be in his favorite new color now. Orange. Yeah, exactly. Happy Freedom, Melissa. Appreciate you being here. Robert, speed bump. Yeah, I'd be like, sorry, I didn't see him. I didn't see him run out in traffic. Like they say in Florida, dead offenders don't reoffend. Ghost, they're ordered to never stop. Yep. I don't know. I think Secret Service was kind of slacking. Just like the person with the camera running. And the guy's like, stay away from the car. Stay away from the car. If that camera person wanted to, they could have went over to the vehicle and did something. And Secret Service they weren't in shape enough to stop the camera guy. Couldn't run as fast as the guy holding the camera. I don't know. Chad, Super Maga Tahoe hit him. Yeah. It was the Mega Magas. They went out there and nailed him. What's up, Damon Walker? Happy Freedom. Appreciate you being here. Kristen, exactly. Never should have been able to get that close. Yeah, I don't know. Seems kind of weird. The Secret Service really got the Orange Eagles back or not? Happy Freedom, Robert Jr. Appreciate you being here. What's up, Dana? Sheep, was that George Soros? I don't know. Might have been. I don't even know what he was protesting. Obviously, he wasn't real happy about the Orange Eagle, but he's like, I'm going to go die for this cause, and nobody even knows why. Should have wrote on both sides of the sign. What's up, Matt? Happy Freedom. Miss Jamie, MAGA roadkill. It'd be all over the news. We got that video coming up. Oh, KJP, you're going to mess this up. She's going to make it so we'll be midway through a video and she'll just step on stage. I already know it. We'll play this next one. We're going to do it out of order from what I had listed earlier. We're going to do this video titled Outlet Melts Down Over Trump's Miami Restaurant Visit. It's good stuff. All the crying and stuff, it's good. It's good stuff. I like it. And then if KJP isn't out by that time, we got one more.
And some in the media.
Come on now. I gotta put her human skin on. It's a difficult process. It's all the bitterness. It makes it difficult to get her human flesh on. That's why she's late every day. It's a hard life. Hard life being that bitter, having that much hate in your heart, I'm sure. All right, let's get her started.
And some in the media having a meltdown when live coverage showed hundreds of Donald Trump supporters outside the courthouse throughout Miami yesterday.
He's still a candidate for president. That's the picture over your brilliant words. We don't need to see that anymore. We know where he is.
And as we watch Donald Trump attempt to turn his arrest and indictment into some sort of campaign commercial, the folks in the control room, I don't need to see any more of that. He's trying to turn this in. He's trying to turn it into a spectacle, into a campaign ad. That's enough of that. We've seen it already.
Wow. Fox News contributor Joe Concha joins me now. Joe, wasn't this visit to the Versailles restaurant, that famous Cuban restaurant there in Miami, part of the overall news event that, I don't know, real journalists should cover on a day like yesterday?
Todd, no surprise here from CNN. Jake Tapper was part of a mutiny that drove its former network president, Chris Licht, out of the channel for having the audacity for putting Donald Trump on its air a few weeks ago for a town hall. And now that the inmates are fully running the asylum again, it has returned to being the resistance network to all things Trump and anything conservative. You remember a night after that town hall with Trump in May, Anderson Cooper goes on the air and says, I know you're angry. I wouldn't blame you for never watching this channel again. It's like, well, what am I watching? Meanwhile, Jake Tapper pushed Trump-Russia collusion as a fact for 3 years when Trump was president. And the best part is this anchor in Tapper is saying he would never allow anyone who lies to be on his air, all while he's interviewing last night at the same time Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's made a career as a lawmaker for doing just that. So this is the new CNN, I guess, which is basically the old CNN under Donald Trump's presidency. And this is the type of commentary we're going to see moving forward, guys.
It is hysterical and sad at the same time. Meantime, speaking of which, here's Hillary Clinton's reaction when asked about the Trump indictment.
On Thursday, the Department of Justice indicted former President Donald Trump. I know. Oh. Did you have any reaction to the news, or are you keeping your powder dry in case you get jury duty in New York?
Well, you know, John, I have a lot of reactions to it. And I think the best reaction publicly is, you know, let's see it unfold and see what happens, right?
You know, Joe, in the tease, I called her the first cackler, really setting the bar high for one Kamala Harris. But really here, isn't she just laughing at us, the American people, because she got away with mishandling her own set of documents?
Todd, Hillary Clinton has issues, right? She's been on a public therapy tour for the better part of almost 7 years, showing she clearly has not gotten over the fact that she lost to Donald Trump despite having every advantage possible, including the FBI, to your point, not pressing charges against her, despite her actions regarding classified documents being infinitely worse than anything Donald Trump has done, because her classified information was placed on a server that was hacked by foreign adversaries. And now she's out there twerking about it because she got away with it and Donald Trump did not. It's just a whole bowl of wrong, Todd, and I guess we'll have to leave it there.
And it's why the American people look at this and say, there's two sets of rules in this country, and the elite have their own, and it's sad. Joe Concha, not sad. Thank you.
I'm Steve Doocy. I'm Brian.
Yes, cry real hard for the Orange Eagle. Doesn't do anything. Then old Hillary Clinton out there. How long will she be around? How long will she haunt all of us, posing a threat to society? Sky Queen, bitter 4-time loser. Exactly. High Plains Drifter, a witch. She's terrible. She thinks she's being funny out there on stage. Like, I have lots of opinions. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. There's people speculating that she's going to try and run again. Red Dog, she's a Satanist. Yeah. Ace G, lock her up. Clone One twerking about it. Please God, no. I know. Yeah, when I was screening that video, he's like, yeah, Hillary Clinton's out there just twerking about. I was like, oh God, that's a scary thought. She's out there twerking for something. It ain't freedom though. Tammy, she doesn't even look like Hillary. Life's hitting her hard. But we can't picture Hillary twerking. Oh, you could, but once you do it, you can't unsee it. You can't unsee it. And then CNN out there crying hard. They're like, we've seen enough of that. Get the Orange Eagle off the stage. We don't want to see him on the screen. You know they cried in the car. They're crying during their lunch breaks and stuff. They're like, they're supposed to be upset at the Orange Eagle, not out there praying over him and celebrating. They're like, what is this? I'm surprised they didn't say it was an insurrection at the restaurant. Jason, was that a clone? I don't know. I think it's the real deal. I think it's the real Hillary. She's the one that does the cloning. I don't think she's getting cloned. When she kicks the bucket, everyone around her is going to be like, oh, thank God. They were like, no, we're not going to clone that one. We'll let that one go. Sometimes you got to let them go. Let's see here. Viking Vet, you just gave me ear aids from the thought of Hillary. I can't rip my eyes out enough. I know, it's terrible. Oh, good. HG, why does she have documents? Anyways, yeah, nothing. Just like old man Walter. How come he's getting bribes? The real question is, why isn't anyone being held accountable? There's all this bad stuff going on. Top to bottom, left to right, the border, old man Walter, KJP, breaking the Hatch Act. I mean, all this stuff. Nothing happens. Instead, they're like, let's subpoena Trump to court. Let's accuse him of doing bad things. While everybody else has evidence of doing bad things, let's go after somebody where there is no evidence of wrongdoing. It's so stupid. What's up, Fitzy? Happy freedom. I was just talking to someone yesterday or the day before, and I was like, you know, I bet at this point, they could just have someone else walk out on stage, and they'd be like, President Joe Biden, but it'd just be another person, and they would play it off like that's who it's been this whole time. Like, he could be 30 years younger, dark-haired, new kids, all that stuff, and they'd be like, yeah, that's Joe Biden. And we'd be like, no, it's not. And they'd be like, yeah, it is. And if you think differently, you're a conspiracy theorist and you're getting canceled. We're going to ban you. You can't have a bank account. You can't go to school. Can't go to work. You're a white supreme pizza if you don't think that's the real old man Walter. And we would just have to take it, just like everything else. And I think that they could totally get away with it. At the point we are now, we are like living in a delusional state. And we just have to accept it. Or we'll be canceled on all the digital platforms and stuff. And that's that. And they'll shun you and put you on TV and all that stuff. And people will believe it. They'll believe it. They'll be like, did you know those conspiracy theorists thought old man Walter was an 80-year-old white fart just ghosting in the wind, sniffing children hardcore? Those conspiracy theorists. We're right there. KJP is about to stumble out. Again, no Peter. Jacqueline's on her knees in front of the chair. I just thought I would list that out there for some of you hooligans that are fond of her. Right there in front of the chair. I don't know. She was assuming the position anyways. So, seems any minute now we'll have Mrs. DUI come stumbling out in front of all of us. Let's see. Wade, that's what they're going to do with Newsom. They'll pass him off as old man Walter. Could you imagine? And then they would call all of us conspiracy theorists. I think they could really get away with it. I know it sounds super crazy, but I think the way the things are now, where you can't even say, like, where you're having a wiener or doesn't have a wiener doesn't dictate your gender. Like, when we're at that point, I don't know. Anything's possible now. When I was young and they were like, you can be anything you want to be when you grow up. Didn't want to be my sister. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know that was in the cards. Dang, that woman's outfit is loud. Any minute now. Guy Dub, is KJP really Joe Biden? Could you imagine? Can you imagine if it was the other way around? Would they call it whiteface? Awaken one, we're all MK'd from the news. Could be. We're something. We're living in a delusional state. What do you guys think she'll be wearing? Pick a color. What are you thinking? She tricked us last time. She came out looking like Miami Vice. She had like 3 or 4 different colors on. Shrapnel loud outfits, I'm saying. Well, I'm thinking orange. I'm thinking orange. Matthew's got green. Adrian's got blue. What's up, username? Happy Freedom. Red Dog. Red or what is that? Red and black, or PB Green. So for real, you got blue. John Costello, I seen that same clip. I seen that same exact clip. I thought it was mildly interesting. Oh, here we go.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Prostitute.
Come on, guys. Good afternoon. Okay, thank you.
They're scared to say hi to you, KJP, because, you know, you're a Nazi.
Hey, give the girl some love here. All right. So I wanted to start with some news at the top. Earlier today, President Biden vetoed SJ Resolution 11, the most recent attempt by congressional Republicans to pollute the air our children breathe. Just think about it. While millions of Americans were taking shelter to escape unhealthy wildfire smoke made worse by climate change, congressional Republicans were pushing a bill to repeal the president's efforts to make our air cleaner and safer. Their Environmental Protection Agency put forward sensible standards to limit the pollution our trucks and buses emit into the air we breathe. The standards will prevent nearly 3,000 premature deaths, more than 6,700 hospital and emergency room visits, and more than 18,000 cases of asthma attacks. They'll also deliver up to tens of billions of dollars in annual public health benefits over the next 2 decades. So look, we just saw this month how disruptive climate change can be to our lives, our communities, and our economy. Schools were closed, outdoor events were canceled, flights were grounded, masks were back on, and many people had to remain indoors. That's what we saw very recently that you all reported on. So this is not the future we want for ourselves or our kids. President Biden won't let congressional Republicans take us backwards in our fight for cleaner air. He vetoed this health-harming bill today, as I just mentioned. He just defended, as you all know, during the budget negotiations, the biggest climate protection bill in history, his Inflation Reduction Act, from congressional Republicans who were intent on repealing it. And he's going to keep protecting and strengthening his Investing in America agenda, which is bringing clean energy jobs and manufacturing back to America. So another piece of good news, I know he's been on some of your airwaves already. Last night, the Senate confirmed Jared Bernstein as chair of the Council of Economic Advisors. Our economy continues to show progress, tackling inflation, while unemployment remains at historic lows. While there is still more work to do, which we acknowledge, but jobs are up, wages are up, and inflation is down. And Jared is someone who uniquely understands that. As the president often says, a job is about more than a paycheck. It's about dignity. It's about dignity of work.
They denied the inflation was even happening, and now they have charts.
So we look forward to Jared's continued leadership as we build an economy that works for working people. Along those lines, today we learned annual producer inflation is below pre-pandemic levels at 1.1%. In fact, producer prices actually fell last month, led by falling energy and food prices as well. This is on top of yesterday's news, as we all discussed in this briefing room yesterday. The consumer inflation has fallen by more than half over the last 11 months. And as I mentioned as well yesterday, wages rose over the last year, and that is accounting for inflation. This is all evidence that the president's economic plan is working to lower costs for families, invest in America, and grow the economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down, not the trickle down economy that we see from Republicans in Congress. And finally, last thing for all of you, tomorrow the President and the First Lady will host a screening of Flamin' Hot. Guests for the evening will include Eva Longoria, who directed the film.
Are they going to be topless?
Latino leaders.
Like the last event?
A special performance by Marachi Vargas. The Biden-Harris administration continues its effort to lift up and engage the Latino community by showcasing their stories and celebrating their contributions to our country. With that, Colleen, I haven't seen you in a while. How are you?
I'm good.
All right. I'm hanging in there.
Good.
Okay. What you got?
Okay, so President Erdogan today indicated that NATO should not bet on Turkey approving Sweden's application before the summit. And then the Post was reporting that Senator Reich halted a U.S. arms sale to Hungary as punishment over its refusal to approve Sweden's application. So I wonder, is there concern over it being delayed ahead of the summit?
Yep. So look, I mean, we have been very consistent here. We encourage Turkey to approve Sweden's application for NATO membership, and we have said that and been really clear, and they should do this without delay. I mentioned this yesterday. I'll reiterate it here. Sweden has fulfilled its commitment they made under the trilateral memorandum of agreement agreed with Finland and Turkey on the margins of the NATO summit that happened just last year in Madrid. As you all know, Sweden is we believe a strong, capable defense partner that shares NATO's values and will strengthen the alliance that NATO currently has and also contribute to European security. So,
for those of you hooligans that said that she looks like a barcode or wearing purple with stretch marks, you guys won. I don't know who told her to wear that shirt. That stuff is ugly. Thank you so much, username, for that $5 donation. I appreciate you. Thank you.
It won't get sorted out before the summit. I think the administration had sort of hoped it would be figured out by then.
So look, we are still hopeful that this will get done. I don't have a timeline, certainly. The sooner the better, as I said, without delay. And so we'll continue to be very clear. We'll continue to communicate that with Turkey, but I just don't have a timeline to share.
Okay, one other question. So former President Donald Trump, I think yesterday maybe, said that if he were reelected, he would appoint a special prosecutor to go after Biden. I wondered
what?
About this kind of rhetoric, especially considering sort of what we saw from on January 6th after a lot of sort of inflammatory rhetoric by Trump.
So look, just a couple of things there. As you know, President Trump is a candidate, so I want to be very careful because right now he's speaking as a candidate, right? So we just don't want to comment on 2024. What we will focus on, what the president will continue to focus on, is delivering for the American people. I just laid out the PPI numbers and what that means for our economy, what that means for the president's economic policy, and how we believe his plans and his policy has continued to work the last 2 years. And we've created historic number of jobs.
I covered Orange Eagle all day yesterday. I didn't hear about him hiring prostitutes, okay? That's too far. We can't let them start saying that kind of stuff.
He's been very clear when he ran in 2020. It was about bringing the nation together, right? The soul of the country. That's something that's still a priority for this president. He's had multiple remarks on that particular issue. We know for a fact, right? This is something that Americans care about. We saw that in the midterm election. So the president's going to continue to be steadfast. He's going to continue to focus on what the American people want to see and want us to deliver on, and we're just going to stay steady.
Secretary Blinken is heading to China later this week. When his initial trip was canceled, you all said he would go when the time is right. So why now? Why is this now the right time?
So a couple of things. I know my colleagues at NSC and State did a 8 a.m. On the record call at 8 a.m. So certainly would refer you to, and they spoke to Blinken's trip. So certainly would refer you to that. And my colleague, if it hasn't happened already, at the State Department, Matt Miller was supposed to give a briefing, and I'm sure he got a lot of back and forth on this particular trip. I'll say a couple of things about this. The administration has strengthened America's ability to outcompete China for the next decade and beyond, and we've done that, as I was just iterating, by building an economy that works for all and doesn't leave anybody behind. And you see this. You see the investments that we're seeing in America, especially with manufacturing, and you see this with 800,000 manufacturing jobs, all incredibly important. So China will continue to be around and a major player on the world stage as we are putting ourselves on that stronger footing to compete. They have and will continue to take provocative steps. We understand that. And you've heard the president say it's important to have that diplomacy with world leaders. It's important to have that discussion. So we believe intense competition requires intense diplomacy, and that's what you're seeing from the State Department. Lastly, it is responsible way, we believe, to manage tensions, clear up misperceptions and miscalculations even, and it is in our interest to try and figure out a way to work together. And this is what you're seeing. This is what you're going to see from Secretary Blinken's trip when he heads out on Saturday.
You note that the president, feels it's important to have this kind of in-person diplomacy. What exactly is the president hoping that the secretary will be able to accomplish? And is it the president's hope that these meetings pave the way for an in-person meeting between the president and President Xi?
So I can't speak to an in-person meeting with President Xi right now, with our president. What I can say is there are a couple objectives that we are hoping, and this is something that the State Department said. So I certainly would refer you to them. But the three main objectives for the visit is, one, to establish communication channels to help manage competition so it does not veer into conflict, which is something that we have said, keeping those lines of communication open. Two, to stand up and speak for American values. That's something that the president leads with, and also interest. And the last and third thing is it is in our interest that we believe to explore potential cooperation and transnational challenges. And so those are the three objectives that came directly from the State Department. I would refer you to the State Department on anything more specifics about the trip.
I know you don't have any kind of future meeting to announce, but do you view this as laying the groundwork for a potential?
Well, we view this as an important part of our diplomacy and our conversation that we believe that we need to have with China. As we have said, they're going to be a major player for a long time. We believe that we are in a right footing, especially of the work that the president has done the last 2 years. When you look at the economy, when you look at the competition, you look at what we have been able to do. And so we want to continue to have those open line of conversation. And this is about diplomacy, which is why the Secretary of State is heading to China on Saturday.
Thanks, Karine. Does the White House have a reaction to the Federal Reserve's decision to pause interest rate hikes?
As you know, we do not comment on the Fed's actions. They are independent. We respect the independence of the Fed, and we do not interfere in any way in their policies. The president has made it very clear that he wanted to give the Fed the space so that they can make these monetary decisions and make these monetary policy, obviously. And as I laid out at the top, and I actually talked about this as well, it's with the CPI data yesterday, we believe that the president's plan, the economic plan, is working. When you look at the last 11 months and you see inflation has gone down by more than 50%, when you see that the wages rose over this past year, when you include inflation as well, and 13 million jobs, I just mentioned the 800,000 jobs, manufacturing jobs, which is incredibly important for American families. So these are the things that the president's going to focus on. How do we continue to create an economy that works for all? But I'm just not going to comment on the Fed's response.
One question on China as well. Is the White House aware of Bill Gates' trip to China and his planned meeting with Xi Jinping? And have you or has the White House advised him about it at all, or requested a readout after his meeting? So
I don't know if Bill Gates has reached out to us, or if we have reached out to him. I don't have any information or intel to give about any conversation with Bill, but certainly I'm sure he can speak for himself about his trip to China.
Thanks, Karine. I wanted to give you an opportunity to perhaps correct the record, or at least respond to something former President Trump said last night. Last night he called his arrest, quote, the most evil and heinous abuse of power in the history of our country, and he accused the current president of having him arrested, effectively directing his arrest. Your response?
I'm not going to comment to that.
Okay.
Come on, KJP. Come on now.
Senator Tuberville, who
ain't got no comments.
Currently holding up the promotions of about 250 senior officers. He has reportedly rejected the most recent offer by some of his Republican colleagues to address this issue as part of the annual defense authorization bill, and he is maintaining that he wants a vote on the Senate floor to reverse this Pentagon policy that pays travel costs for service members seeking abortion or other reproductive health care. So Senator Tuberville says that he hasn't heard from the White House at all on this issue. I'm wondering why not. And what's the White House's view on what the path forward is here? Should the Senate begin holding individual votes on senior military promotions to start advancing some of this?
So a couple things at the top, which is, I think, incredibly important. What the senator is doing by holding these nominations, it's a threat to our national security, period. That's what he's doing. These are important nominations that we need, that the American people need to keep our country country safe. And so and not only that, they risk our military readiness by depriving our armed forces of leadership and hurt our military families. That's what he's doing by holding these DOD nominees. All our military nominees that Senator Tuberville is blocking need to be confirmed quickly, and we have been consistent about that. This is something that has come up in the briefing room multiple times at this point. Senators should not play politics. They should not play politics with our military assistance, with our military readiness, and with our military family. And so, look, I'm not going to get into the specifics of what the mechanics should be in getting us done. We've been very clear that it needs to happen, and I just don't have anything else to share about a conversation with the senator.
Well, but why hasn't the White House spoken with him, and what does the White House see as the path forward here? I mean, you guys have said it's a matter of national security. I presume that means it's a top priority.
I mean, first of all, it's shameful that he's doing this, right? I mean, he needs to be asked the question is, why is he putting our national security at risk? That is something for a senator to be able to answer to. We're trying to do the right thing by moving forward and protecting our military readiness and protecting our military families. And so, look, I can't speak to conversations. I have to talk to our Office of Leg Affairs. I do not know when the last time that they spoke to the senator, but what I do know is what he's doing is putting our national security at risk, truly.
And then very quickly on something that was brought up earlier, Senator Risch and his blocking of a $735 million arms package to Hungary in order to get them to approve Sweden into NATO. Did the White House coordinate at all with Senator Risch? Do you guys agree with that strategy? And do you believe that he should maintain that hold until Hungary approves?
No, I heard the question from Colleen. I don't have anything to add or anything to elaborate on that. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Karine. For months, the White House has declined to discuss a possible Plan B if the president's student loan debt forgiveness program is overturned by the Supreme Court. Now, with the SCOTUS decision expected this month, perhaps in a matter of days, several constituencies are urging Biden to be ready to act. The NAACP, in a letter today to Biden, wrote, should the Supreme Court fail to uphold student debt relief, Black America demands that your administration pursue all legal pathways to make a permanent solution on student loan debt. Is the White House prepared to transition to an alternative method for student loan forgiveness if the president's plan is rejected in court?
So look, we continue to be confident in our legal, kind of a legal pathway here. So
what legal pathway?
To continue protecting a plan that the president believes is incredibly important for American families. And I want to also be clear that the president recognizes the burden student debt has on tens of millions of Black Americans. That is something that he gets.
I get student loans too, okay? Don't disclude me from the group here.
Increased to Pell Grants in decades. That's something that he did very early on in his administration, and that is why he vetoed the most recent attempt by congressional Republicans to block his student debt. That was part of a major piece of contention during the budget negotiations, and the president protected that. And so he is. He is certainly understand how important his plan is, which is why he put it forth, which is why he understands that how much that means to everyday families, working people who makes less than $75,000. Remember, 90% of that.
That stuff's not going to pass. It's not going to pass. We all signed up for student loan debt. We knew what we signed up for. It's our debt. That's all there is to it.
Of the Department of Justice.
So as for whether there is a Plan B, if it is struck down, you still can't say whether there.
I'm just saying that we're going to focus on the fight that's in front of us right now.
Local outlets in Connecticut are reporting that the president will attend a National Gun Safety Summit later this week. There seems to be little momentum in Congress for any sort of new bill that we saw recently. Right now, is the White House purely in an implementation sort of phase when it comes to gun control? Or is there anything else the White House can do in the meantime besides just calling on Congress for additional action for gun control?
I mean, Zolan, I appreciate the question, but let's not forget what this president has done that has been historic when it comes to dealing with gun violence. Let's not forget that more than 24 pieces of executive actions that he's taken because Congress.
That's like saying he's good at dictatorship.
We fully believe that they can. We appreciated the bipartisan bill that was passed almost a year ago. It's going to be on, I believe, on Friday. It will be a year ago that the president signed that into law. That's great. And it was 30 years in the making, really, right? It took 30 years before we got there. But there's more that needs to happen. There's more that needs to happen to keep our community safe. And so to your question, look, he's going to use the bully pulpit. He's going to go to Connecticut. He's going to continue to talk about the importance of Congress moving forward. But also, states have taken action. Let's not forget, Connecticut has taken actions, and there's been multiple states have actually done the work to ban assault weapons, do red flags, and do other things that are incredibly important. That's going
unconstitutional stuff.
We're going to lift that up as well. Now, what we're asking for, obviously, is for the federal government to take additional actions. But let's not forget what states have been able to do over just the last several months on protecting their community.
What we're asking is for the federal government to take additional actions.
That's exactly right.
But can any of those actions at this point, while noting the legislation that was passed already and the implementation ongoing of that package, can any of those additional federal actions at this point be done solely through executive action?
So look, I mean, the president's always going to look for ways to take
What, like taking our guns by executive action? Good luck. Good luck.
Really, we're always going to figure out what else we can do to protect communities. So that is something that certainly our team is going to look at. But let's not forget that states have been able to take action, which is really important too. And that's been just over the past several months. And so, look, we're going to continue to ask Congress to act. I've been asked what other priorities that this president has as it relates to legislation. That's one of them. We just got to continue to build on what he was able to sign last year. Anything additional, I just don't have anything to share at this point. Okay,
thanks, Karine. Last night, Fox News ran a chyron that referred to the president as a wannabe dictator, and I'm wondering if the White House has any comment on that.
So look, there are probably about 787 million things that I can say about this. That
can't even count that high. That's Biden math.
But I don't think I'm going to get into it.
There's no comment the White House has on.
I think I just commented.
She said you guys are correct. It's a dictatorship.
So, without talking about the decision today by the Fed, obviously the hikes impact the U.S. economy. So, can you talk about the delayed effects of previous hikes and when you think you'll be able to have a very clear picture of how the economy and inflation are doing?
So, I'm just not going to get into economic forecasting from here. What I will say, and this is something that the president has said himself, we believe that recent data is more proof that the economy, that his economic plan is working. When you think about PPI, you think about CPI, you think about the jobs numbers. We believe that it's what he is doing is creating jobs and also helping to lower costs.
Yeah, you guys believe that, but that's not what's happening.
Americans want us to see. And so, look, fighting prices certainly continues to be a main priority for Americans and also certainly a top priority for us. And so we're going to continue to do that, to do everything that we can to lower costs. But we are encouraged by the data. I'm just not going to get into forecasting any type of, data points on the economy.
Just say data a couple more times and then put a period on it.
Biden is scheduled to go to Philadelphia, so I wonder, since he's going to be there, does he plan to survey the I-95 collapse?
I don't have anything to report at this time or to share about a change in his schedule.
Thank you.
Okay.
Karine, this White House is recognizing Juneteenth, which is Monday. And with that said, the issue of reparations continues to be something that is being parsed out on the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue. And with that said, the late John Conyers started with, a study. Now you have Congresswoman Bush not just asking for a study, but she's creating a resolution to push forward on reparations. What does this White House believe when it comes to this controversial issue of repairing a wrong for the descendants of Africans in this nation?
We got Teddy Roosevelt there
As you mentioned, Juneteenth, there was a concert here yesterday, and we saw how powerful and how moved the president was by the concert and by kind of the story that was laid out through the concert about Juneteenth and how important that moment was. Opal, as you know, was here, and it's always moving to hear her and to see her. And as you know, the president signed Juneteenth to be the most recent holiday about 2 years ago. So I think that shows from that action. I'll give you more. I think that shows from that action how important the president thinks this moment is, how important he thinks that it is important to continue to lift up the African American community, and he'll continue to do so. As it relates to reparations, I saw just moments ago Cori Bush's resolution. We haven't reviewed the proposal yet. It's a new proposal, so we'll take a look at it. So I can't comment on that specifically. But the president has been really clear as it relates to reparation. He wants to see a study of reparations and studying the continuing impacts of slavery. He believes that is incredibly important.
So after the study, if the study concludes what many thought leaders and civil rights leaders have said,
thought leaders
support a payout, because the nation is divided on this. This has been one of the biggest issues over the decades about how to repair the enslavement over generations of Africans brought to this country for free labor. So what does the president do after? What will he lean in on after a study, which is expected to basically say what many of the civil rights and black thought leaders have said? Does the president believe in a financial repair for the descendants of Africans in this nation?
So look, I will say this: we got to let the study move forward. We got to let to see what the study shows, and we got to continue to study the impact of slavery. That is something that the president believes that we need to do. So that's incredibly important. But I will say, April, and you know this, you've covered this since we've walked into this administration. When we think about the crises that we see in our country, the president called out how race inequality is a problem, right? Is a crisis for us in this moment, which is why he is taking comprehensive action. When you think about what he did on the first couple of days that he walked in, signing an executive order to make sure at the federal level that we put equity at the center of this. And it is important that we continue to do this. How do we deal with the inequalities that we see in this country? And he's trying to do that on the federal level.
How are people not equal?
What the study shows, it is important.
Stupid.
To continue.
Thank you so much, Sam, for gifting the 5 memberships over on YouTube. I appreciate you, Sam. Thank you.
And I think because of the president's action, he's been very clear. He's been very clear how important it is, even just looking at his economic policy, how important it is to leave no one behind, have equity at the center of everything that he's done. If you look at every piece of historic piece of legislation that has passed, that he has signed, it has equity at the center of that. And that's because the president has that in mind, right, to make sure that we have equality, to make sure that we leave no one behind. I'll keep going.
Thank you, Karine. Why did the White House not inform us of the president of Uruguay's visit yesterday? It wasn't on the schedule. I presume that these bilateral meetings are planned in advance. So when did you decide that the meeting was going to happen?
So look, it was a drop-by. That's what it was with the president. And I would have to get back to talk to the National Security Council to talk through how the meeting actually happened and landed. I don't have that information for you, but we believe it was important for this drop-by to happen. Clearly, I just talked about how the president sees diplomacy, having those in-person conversations, how critical they are, and that's what you saw yesterday. I can't speak to the process on landing this meeting.
Give us a sense of how long the meeting was?
I'll give you a little bit of how we saw this meeting went. I don't have a timeline for you, or a timestamp, if you will, on the meeting. So during their meeting, President Biden lauded Uruguay as a regional and global model for democratic governance and congratulated him for receiving the Gold Insignia Award from the Council of the Americas. President Biden and the President of Uruguay also discussed their support for Ukraine Ukraine, principled defense for fundamental freedoms in Venezuela, and commitment to ensure the America's partnership for economic prosperity accelerates regional integration, inclusive economic prosperity, and greater opportunity through sustainable trade and investment. So the two presidents also explored ways to expand our bilateral economic relationship, increase joint efforts to combat climate change, and further strengthen security operation, and that is what came out of this meeting.
Are they friend or foe?
And just on the U.S.-Iran talks, I saw the exchange with at the State Department briefing yesterday, and I'm still unclear, and I hope you can help me. Is the administration at this point talking to Iran, asking Tehran not to enrich uranium above 60% in return for the release of some funds, some frozen funds, and possible prisoner exchange?
So look, I would have to refer you to the State Department. They had the readout. If it's unclear to you, I would just refer you back to them, and they can actually lay out exactly what those conversations were.
As a broad principle, I know that you say that JCPOA is not the priority for the administration at this point. So what are these diplomatic channels that are going on?
So look, again, having open channels of conversation is important, and I'll just reiterate, our policy on Iran has not changed. We have been very clear about that. We remain focused on constraining Iran's destabilizing behavior through pressure, close coordination with our allies, and de-escalation in the region, obviously, right? And so that's including ensuring Iran never acquires a nuclear weapon. That has not changed, of course, right? We've been consistent about that during this past 2 years in this administration. So we're going to always watch closely Iran's enrichment activities, and the United States prefers diplomacy, right? That's what you saw from the State Department. That's what you see from this president. And but we are preparing for all possible options and contingencies in full coordination with our partners and allies. So that has not changed. We've been consistent. Okay, Karen.
Thanks, Karine. To go back to the Philly event on Saturday, the president's attending a political rally hosted by union members, and we're told it's not a Biden campaign event. Should we expect the president to take part in more of these things called political rallies over the next couple of months, and what's this going to look like on Saturday?
Just don't have anything to share on that. It is a political rally, so I would refer you to the DNC. So not going to speak to it from here. I'm just going to be very careful and not speak to that.
And not about this one, but will he do events like this that are not? I mean, the White House advertised this event in a release, but other entities hosting a rally that could look like a campaign event that the president goes to. Will we see him doing this?
I don't have anything to share on his schedule at this time. I just don't. Okay, let me see.
Yeah, White House officials, including you, I think, are meeting with state legislators over the next couple of days about reproductive rights and abortion access. And I'm curious what you're trying to accomplish, and they're coming from Republican states where they're definitely in the minority in the legislature.
Look, Tam, we believe these conversations are incredibly important. That's why they're here. These state legislators are here. Let's not forget the 1-year anniversary of Dobbs. A decision is about 10 days away, if not less. And so we thought it was important for White House to host state legislators to discuss the state level attacks, as you just mentioned, we're seeing on reproductive rights and the work led by Democratic elected officials to safeguard access to care. So we're going to convene another one tomorrow. As you mentioned, I had the pleasure of participating in one this morning, or talking to them this morning, including Jen Klein, the Director of Gender Policy Council, Mayor Steve Benjamin, the Director of Office and Public Engagement here at the White House, and it was incredibly powerful. You got to remember, these are folks who have been on the front line dealing with an issue that is incredibly important to their constituency, to their to the people that they work on behalf of, but also the country. And so, and we're talking about how Republican elected officials in these very states have taken steps to roll back reproductive care, to roll back freedoms that we should have, that women should have. And so again, we'll have more to share. We'll be convening another one tomorrow, and we thought it was important to do this as we head to the first year anniversary of the Dobbs decision.
Are you guys producing videos out of it, or what? I guess the White House convenes all the time, but I'm just curious, like, what comes?
I mean, I don't have any output from it besides the fact that these are state legislators who have literally been on the front lines of a freedom that has been eroded, right, to women, reproductive health care that has been taken away. And so it's important to bring them in and to tell them, hey, we have your back, that we see you, we appreciate the fight that you've been doing, and we are partners with you on moving forward. And so, hey, we think that's important to do, especially as we're talking about freedoms. We're talking about Americans' freedom here.
Lying makes you weak.
Can you say whether the president has actually read that letter from the NAACP on student debt relief, and if he has, what his reaction was?
I've not spoken to the president if he has seen, if he has read the letter or not, so I can't answer that question. But I have laid out just the last few minutes about what the president has done and how he understands how his student debt relief plan is important to this community, and so he'll continue to fight for it, as we see DOJ doing. And so this is something that we think is so important. If you think about what American families had to deal with the last 2 years, giving them a little breathing room. You hear the president talk about this a lot, and this is what the student debt relief is going to do. It's part of his economic policy to make sure that we do everything, how we move forward on building back the economy. It deals with it in an equitable way.
And I'm going to try again one more time on the Fed. Is the White House concerned that the Fed is pausing rates at a time when inflation is still high and still above that 2% target?
I'm just not going to comment on the monetary decisions that the Fed makes. They are independent. We respect that independence. I'm just not going to comment on their actions.
Thank you, Karine. So also on Iran, since the United States seems to be trying to ease tensions with Iran, is the White House optimistic on the possibility of making progress to release the American hostage? And also a few months ago, Siamak Namazi, one of the American hostages, made a desperate plea from the Evin prison on CNN. Has the president been in touch with his family since?
So I don't have any update on any conversations that the president had with any of the families.
Just say you don't know.
When it comes to Americans being wrongfully detained or held hostage, this is something that this administration takes very seriously. This is something that this administration has made a priority. As you know, there's been more than a dozen Americans who have been held hostage or wrongfully detained that we have been able to bring home over the last 2 years. So that shows you our dedication and our focus on this. I just don't have anything else to share. I would actually refer you to the State Department on anything specifics on any particular hostage. Okay.
On the Federal Reserve, without commenting on their policy, does the decision that they made on interest rates signal to the president or the economic team here that any change is needed in proposals that are putting forward, especially now as you work with Congress on like the appropriations process and funding levels?
I'm just not going to comment on their actions specifically.
Wait,
hold on. You got to give me a second. You got to give me a beat here. Let me just say what I need to say, and I'll try to answer your question.
She gonna start rapping?
In the most effective way possible. Going to be careful about responding to any actions that the Fed makes. They are independent. We respect that. But look, we believe, again, our economic policies are working because we have seen inflation is now the lowest in more than 2 years. And that's over the last, has fallen for the past 11 months. And you think about wages that has gone up, right, which is incredibly important over the past year. That accounts for inflation. And so when you think about that, that is important for American families. Who does that help? American families, when you see wages that have gone up. 13 million jobs. That's important. And that's because of how this president has moved forward with the economy. So you're asking me if we need to change anything. The president has always said when it comes into economic policy, he's going to put lowering cost a priority. And so we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to find ways. I'm just not going to comment on the monetary decision.
What the hell?
Okay, Brian.
Thanks a lot, Karine. You've described some of the accomplishments that the president has made and the investments in the country, and yet the president's polling is still in the 40s, in the low 40s. Does the president believe he's not getting enough credit for some of the investments like the CHIPS Act and the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act that are going out in the country? And what's he going to do in the coming months to try to reach Americans to describe what kind of impact it's going to have on their community?
So our focus is going to be the work to get this done, the work to lower costs, and we know that there's more work to do. And we know that sometimes there are some Americans here in this country who feel, who are feeling the economy a little bit differently, who feel like that there's more work that can be done. And so here's what we're going to continue to do, right? We're going to continue to take on Big Pharma to lower prescription drugs, and that is something that we have been able to do, and that's capping insulin at $35 a month. Investing in America to lower energy costs, fuel our manufacturing reinsurgence, and create jobs. More than $470 billion in private sector investments in manufacturing and clean energy. That matters, and so that's what we're going to continue to do. And look, it's completely opposite of what Republicans in Congress want to do. They want to reward the wealthy, the corporation, give them a tax break. That's what we have seen from them, and that's why the bipartisan budget deal that the president was able to do is so important, because he was able to protect programs that are so important and critical to American families, critical to veterans, critical to seniors. So what they can expect from this president is a president that's going to continue to fight for them, and he has shown that by his actions. Go ahead, John.
Thanks a lot, Karine. The Secretary of State's upcoming two-day visit to China is very noteworthy in the sense that a U.S. Secretary of State hasn't traveled to China since 2018. What's the overall goal?
I mean, I just look. State Department has talked about it. I just spoke about it from this podium just moments ago about the objectives and the goal. We think it's important. This president thinks it's important to have diplomacy, to continue to have those conversations with a country that's going to be a major player on the world stage, right? But we've been very consistent. We believe we've strengthened America's ability to outcompete China because of the economic actions and policies that we have taken, and we think it's important to have those open lines of conversation, keep those channels open. And so we're going to continue to do that. Diplomacy is important. He is, as you just stated, Blinken is the Secretary of State. That is one of his jobs, right, to have those conversations. And so those are the objectives, and we're going to continue to move forward in that direction.
It's a very complex relationship, the U.S. and China. There's trade, there's national security, there's human rights. I'm curious, do you, as the administration, view China as you described, a competitor, or are they also an adversary?
Look, what we see right now is that they're certainly going to be a major player, right? They're going to be continue to be around, and so because of that, we need to do our part, right, and have that diplomacy, have those conversations, and continue to strengthen our hand. America's ability to outcompete China, which we believe we have put ourselves in a good footing to do that. So we're going to have the conversation, continue to open the lines, the channels to have those conversations, and I think that's what matters. I think that's what the American people want to see. Go ahead, Courtney.
Thank you. What's the status of the Pandemic Preparedness Office now that Dr. Jha is leaving?
So as you know, we're looking to hire a director of that office. That office, one of the reasons that office exists is because it was mandatory. Clearly, as you know,
sounds like she's wearing thin.
And we think
Thanks so much, Snooks, for gifting 10 memberships over on YouTube. I appreciate you. Thank you, Snooks.
we have the right person to do the job. As it relates to
I think she's going to run away soon.
Is a small team that still very much exists, and so we're going to continue to do the work that this president has done this last 2 years to beat COVID back, which we have been able to see, right? Which he has been able to accomplish, and so I'll just leave it there.
Artificial intelligence, I also wanted to ask, I know that most of the activity at the White House on that has been going out of the Office of Science and Technology Policy. They don't have a ton of staff on AI. Their AI advisor just recently left. The person under him who does AI left a while ago. Can you talk about who's advising the president on this topic inside the White House, or are you mostly relying on your agencies?
So look, let me just say that we are committed to fostering responsible AI to benefit society while actively working to mitigate the risk, right? That is something that you've heard. We've been very clear about the risk associated with AI, which is why we've actively engaged. You've seen the Vice President most recently engage with CEOs, right? Engage with companies to ensure that we are working together and so and develop and advance AI in a responsible way. So we have taken action. You've seen the president meet multiple multiple times with his team. You've seen the Vice President do this as well, as I just stated. And so we're going to continue to have those conversations. We're going to continue to do that work. The President certainly takes advice from his advisors here, his senior advisors and others who are prolific in this space, and he'll continue to do that. Don't have anything more to share specifically on that, but you've seen us. You've seen the President convene his team. You've seen the Vice President convene his team, and to talk specifically about AI.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Phil.
Thank you. Last week, the President said that state lawmakers who were enacting bans on gender transition surgeries or therapies for minors were, in his words, hysterical or prejudiced. I'm curious, will he withhold Medicare funds or restrict federal health care dollars in some way in response?
I don't have anything to add to that. Okay. Good.
And then when the President made those remarks, he was standing next to the Prime Minister from the United Kingdom, and afterwards the United Kingdom announced that they were going to be placing a ban on puberty blockers for minors in most cases. Will the President raise this human rights issue with his UK counterpart?
I didn't see those comments, so I can't respond to that directly, and I'm just not going to go beyond what the President said in those comments.
And then I don't have a question about the Fed, but I do have a point.
I'm happy to take one, though. The answer is pretty consistent.
So not about the Fed. Has the President entrusted a message to Secretary Blinken on his trip to Beijing, specifically to the Chinese about that Chinese spy facility that was on the Cuban island?
So look, I'm not going to get into private conversations that the President has with his secretary, and so I'm not going to get ahead of what's going to come up in this visit. I kind of laid out the objectives, which I think is really important, right, to have diplomacy. This is what the President has said, and I've laid out even more about how we want to move forward with our relationship and clearly our competition with China. I'm just not going to get ahead of that. Anything specific that you want to know about the trip, I certainly would refer you to the State Department.
Thank you, Karine.
Okay. Way in the back. Yeah, way in the back. Okay.
Me? Back here? Okay. On abortion access and the state lawmakers that were here at the White House today, more are going to be in town tomorrow. Some say that they want the administration to provide more support in red states to protect access. So what more is the White House looking to do or considering doing?
So look, the President has been pretty clear, the Vice President has been pretty clear that they are going to do everything that they can to fight for the right for women to make the decision on their own body, right? And also to fight to make sure that, and call on Congress to make Roe put legislation forward so that he can sign Roe into law. And so that's something that he's been pretty clear about. He took actions very early on, almost over a year ago, right, when the Dobbs decision was made. He put together the President Task Force on Reproductive Health Care. Access is working across, making sure that access is working across the federal government to protect access to care. The President has signed 2 executive orders to protect access to abortion and contraception, support a woman's right to travel for medical care, strengthen privacy measures, and address discrimination in health care. And President Biden also issued a presidential memorandum on what would have been the 50th anniversary of Roe v. Wade that is aimed at protecting the safe access to medication, abortion in particular. But the bottom line is what we're seeing from Republicans. They want to continue to ban a freedom that women should have. They want to do a national ban. We've seen the bans in states across the country, and the President and the Vice President have been very clear. They're going to continue to fight. You've heard from the Vice President multiple times. She's kind of led in this space and has been incredibly powerful and I think impactful in speaking on this issue. You've heard the President speak on this as well. And so I think by having, we believe, not me, but we believe by having the state legislators here today and tomorrow to listen to them, to hear what it is that they're experiencing on the ground, to get a sense of how else we can be helpful, in what ways we can partner is actually really important. And so that's what you're seeing from this administration, and that's what we're going to continue to do. I think we've taken action. We've been very loud and clear about this, and we'll continue to do so.
Madam,
one more.
Stanley Cup. Stanley Cup.
Madam, want to hear the back?
Oh my gosh, guys. I'm trying to call on people I haven't called in a while. Go ahead. No, right, yep.
What's she doing? Avoiding Jacqueline?
Earlier this week, go ahead.
So just one follow-up on the abortion meetings today. Were President Biden or Vice President Harris in those meetings, and why were they or were they not there?
So look, I can say that, and I just mentioned, I listed out who some of the leaders of the administration who was part of this meeting, and so they were in attendance and convening this really important conversation that we're having with state leaders, as I mentioned today and tomorrow. I mentioned I had an opportunity to stop by. It was incredibly powerful, and again, these are people who've been fighting this on the front lines, and so, but the president and the vice president is committed to protecting these rights. They're committed in doing everything that we can from the federal government. So I don't have any readouts clearly to offer with this event or anything new about tomorrow. But look, we believe we need to do as much as we can as we head into the sad 1 year anniversary of the Dobbs decision. And so we'll continue to have these conversations as we have been for the past year, and we think it's important to do so. So don't have anything to read out about the vice president or president. Sure. The poor guy thinks you're laughing at him. It's terrible. Hello.
Hi, Karine. I'm Dennis House with WTNH, the ABC station in Connecticut. And as you mentioned, the president is coming here on Friday for Senator Murphy's gun summit at the University of Hartford. And I'd like to know, why is Connecticut so important to the president to make this argument for more gun control and more gun safety?
Okay. And just Dennis House, right?
Yes, Dennis House.
Okay. Good to see you, Dennis. Thanks for.
Nice to see you, and thanks for your time today.
Not awkward at all.
We were talking about earlier, moments ago, about the importance on the work that we need to continue to do to talk about the work that we need to continue to see on protecting communities. And so the president believes that this is a critical trip, an important trip, as we see the upcoming anniversary of the Bipartisan Safer Community Act, which resulted in decades of work. We hadn't seen bipartisan legislation on really dealing with gun violence in 30 years, and this is something that the president was able to do. Let's not forget the more than 24 pieces of executive actions that he was taking. So he's going to highlight the progress at the state level and call for state legislators across the country and Congress to take additional action. That's what you're going to hear from the president. Connecticut has been a leader on gun safety legislation in the decade following the tragedy, as you know, at Sandy Hook. And just over a week ago, the governor of Connecticut, Governor Lamont, signed a gun violence prevention bill, which contains more than a dozen measures to improve gun safety, including strengthening the state's ban on assault weapons and secure storage requirements. So the president believes it's important to highlight the states that are actually doing the work and getting this done, since we're not seeing more action from Congress. And so this is going to be an important, we think, conversation, important opportunity, the president to highlight in what ways that we can continue.
Tide says he's speaking from jail.
Protect our schools, protect our grocery stores, protect our churches, as we've seen continuous gun violence in our streets.
Well, we welcome him to our great state, and Karine, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Have a good rest of your week.
You too.
All right. Okay.
Super weird.
I'll take one last question. I haven't seen you in the briefing room before. Hello.
Hi. I'm wondering if you could comment on a planned endorsement from the AFL-CIO on Friday, the earliest that union has entered into the endorsement business in the presidential race.
So, as you know, I can't speak on the 2024 election because of the Hatch Act, as everyone knows in this room, and we discussed fully yesterday. So I'm going to continue to stay focused and steadfast on that. So I would refer you to the DNC or the campaign. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Worthless. Oh, wow. They ended the live right there. Whoever's running the show, they were like, bloop, end it. Kid JP, she's going to cry. We don't want to show it on TV. Cookie Monster, that was awful. Yeah, the best part was when They were saying that the Orange Eagle is going to hire a special prostitute. We're crapping that. That's going to be on a short later today. Don't you worry. Not going to forget that. So we got one more video to show on YouTube, and then we'll be moving to all the alternative platforms for a video that's too spicy for YouTube. Let's see. This last video that we're going to cover here is titled GOP Lawmaker Introduces Article of Impeachment for Old Man Walter and Hyena Harris. Like I said before, I doubt it'll go through, but I wish. It would be something. They deserve it. They deserve this award of impeachment.
The gentleman is recognized for 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, Joe Biden has failed the American people. He's failed to uphold his oath of office and preserve and defend the Constitution. From illicit family building, business dealings, and millions of dollars in bribes and payments to himself and to his extended family. Joe and his border czar, Kamala Harris, have allowed an invasion at our southern border, jeopardizing the lives of hundreds of thousands and killing hundreds of thousands with fentanyl. They have directed their border patrol to release illegals into our country unfettered. In fact, the judge even had to intervene and stop Biden's release program. Joe Biden has violated Article 2 of the Constitution to take care and respect the laws of this country. So, Mr. Speaker, that is why I'm introducing articles of impeachment against Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
Members are reminded to refrain from engaging.
Yes, well, wouldn't that be something? Old Man Walter and Hyena Harris get kicked out of office. They've already destroyed everything. What would he even do at this point? Flowers failure. Yep. I know, we need a little ghost scream to cleanse the palate there. I can still hear KJP's voice in my head. It's almost as bad as thinking of Hillary Clinton twerking. It's not quite that terrible, but you know, it's up there. It's up there. Top shelf trauma. All right, hooligans. So that's all we have for the YouTube side of things. We do have one video that we're going to play on all the non-YouTube platforms, but I'm going to drop the links in the chat in just a moment. Before I do that, I need you guys to go over to the link tree. Maybe Snooks will put it in the chat for you. It is in the description. On the link tree, I have all of my links listed. So go find Gilded. Gilded is free and currently the best way to receive notifications for when and where we go live. Every time we go live, there's a news board on Gilded to keep you up to date with everything going on around the world. And there's a ton of hooligans in there to hang out with all day, every day. And multiple chats that we have over on the platform. So definitely go join Gilded. Also in the link tree, we have links to the merch store if you'd like to grab some merch. We have shirts, hoodies, stickers, coffee mugs, and a bunch of other specialty items. Everything is displayed in black and white, but if you find something you like, just click on that item to see all the different colors that item comes in. You can also find links for PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Stripe, Zelle, Buy Me a Coffee, and Locals if you'd like to help support what I do. There's also a link to the Amazon wish list if you would like to send me stuff. It's really easy to use. Anything you purchase directly from the wish list will be sent straight to me without having to remember tracking numbers, send emails, find addresses. You don't have to do any of that. It's really simple. And then finally, we have links to join the membership programs. We have memberships for YouTube, Gilded, Discord, Odyssey, Rumble, and Twitch. And then at the top of the link tree there, you can claim a free week membership for jeffmaclive.com. No strings attached, no credit cards or anything like that. You won't be charged after the week is up. With a membership, you'll have access to your own profile for our private social media area. You'll have access to our live streaming area with the built-in chat. And you'll also have access to our advanced messaging system with the ability to text, call, group text, group call, group video call, and the ability to upload all digital media that's ever existed. So MP3s, MP4s, slideshows, all that. It's a very long list. Documents, PDF files, you can upload all that stuff. If you'd like to network with Hooligans or just show off cool stuff that you got going on, you're welcome to do that. Go join jeffmaclive.com. It's the freest place on the internet. All right, Hooligans, you know what time it is. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Well, we did the first half of the thing. Okay. I'm going to drop some links here for everybody over on YouTube, so you can make your way over to the alternative platforms so you can watch the rest of the live. You guys can't hear me. How long has that been going on? Either way, make your way over to the alternative platforms. I'm not sure how that happened. Either way. Let's see. Nothing has timestamps. I can't tell how long I've been muted. I don't know how that happened. Either way. Make your way to the alternative platforms right now. Right now, right now. Let's see. Come out. Come on, man. Do the thing. Alright, there we go. There's one.